The stars looked cold above the ruined moon. Captain Reese stood on the ramp of the rescue ship, his helmet lights cutting through silver dust. The signal they followed was weak, a slow repeating cry that said only one word: help. No one expected to find life here, not after the war, not after the silence. Inside the shattered temple, Lieutenant Harris moved carefully, his boots echoing against broken stone. He was the ship's medic, a man who had patched soldiers in every corner of the war, but nothing had prepared him for what he saw under the blue light of his scanner. There, half buried under crystal shards, was a shape, tall, silver-skinned, almost human. Her armor was cracked, her breathing faint, her long hair floating like strands of light. He whispered into his comm. "Captain, I found someone," Reese's voice crackled back. "Alive?" "Barely," Harris said, kneeling beside the body. It's an alien queen." For a moment, no one spoke. Everyone on the ship knew the stories. The alien queens were legends of the war, rulers who controlled whole fleets by thought alone. They said no human had ever touched one and lived. They said their blood was poison. But she was dying, and Harris was a medic. He looked at her wound, deep and dark across her side. Pulsing with strange blue light, her eyes were closed. But her face looked peaceful, almost human. He opened his kit and reached for the sterilizer. "Don't touch her," shouted Sergeant Kane from behind. Raising his weapon, "It's forbidden, sir." "She's dangerous," Harris ignored him. "Then shoot me for doing my job," he said quietly. Pressing a bandage to the wound, the moment his glove touched her skin, a wave of light spread from her body. The air turned heavy like gravity itself thickened. Symbols began to glow beneath her skin, moving like living veins of light. Harris gasped and tried to pull his hand back, but it stuck as if magnetized. The queen's eyes snapped open. Silver and burning with intelligence, she stared right into him. Not at him, but through him. Her voice came out weak, like the wind whispering through glass. "You broke the bond." Harris froze. "What bond?" he whispered. But she had already fainted again, her body limp but glowing faintly. Kane stepped forward, terrified. "Sir, what's happening to your hand?" Harris looked down, and his veins were glowing too, faint blue light running under his skin. "Get her to the ship," he said, voice shaking. They carried the queen through the dust, past ruined pillars and dead machines. Everywhere they stepped, the ground hummed, like something ancient had just woken. Inside the ship, alarms screamed, lights flickered. "And the engines died," Reese cursed. "We just lost main power." "What the hell did you bring aboard?" Before anyone could answer, the queen's body arched on the stretcher, light pulsing from her chest, the medical bay filled with a deep hum. Not from any machine, but from her. The crew stared as the monitors went wild, heart rate rising. Alien characters filling the screens, then silence, total silence. Every light died, every sound stopped. Harris could only hear his own breath, loud and hollow. A second later, the emergency lights flicked red, and the queen was gone. Her body lay there, but her eyes were open again, staring straight at Harris. Her lips moved slowly. "Human," she said. "You should not have touched me." Harris stepped closer, his voice low. "I was trying to save you." Her gaze softened for a second, like she remembered something far away. Then she whispered, "You are bound to me now. You carry my pain." Suddenly Harris screamed, clutching his side, the same place where her wound was. Blood stained his uniform, identical to hers. The crew shouted, dragging him away. But she lifted one trembling hand. "Stop," she commanded, and her voice carried power. Not volume, but force. Everyone froze, even the air seemed to stop moving. She turned her head toward him and said, "Our lives are now one." Then her eyes rolled back, and she fell still again. Reese looked at Harris, fear in his eyes. "What the hell does that mean?" Harris could barely breathe, the pain fading but leaving a strange warmth inside. He didn't answer. He just stared at his glowing hand. The same symbols that marked her skin were now crawling up his arm. Outside, through the viewport, the stars began to move. Not because the ship was flying, but because something massive was passing by. A shadow blocked the light of a distant sun, and every sensor on the ship started to scream again. Reese shouted, "Incoming vessels! Multiple contacts!" Kane looked at the radar, his face pale. "They're not humans, sir. They're hers." Harris looked down at the queen. Lying motionless on the table, her breathing shallow, he whispered, "They're coming for her." And somewhere deep inside his mind, he heard a voice that wasn't his own, a calm, regal voice that said, "No, They are coming for you. The ship trembled as energy waves hit its hull. Red lights flashed everywhere. Harris felt his heartbeat matching hers, every thump in perfect rhythm for a moment. He realized something terrible and beautiful. Their fates were now the same. As the darkness closed in, he heard her whisper again, not from her mouth but inside his head. You broke the forbidden bond, and now the stars will remember. Then everything went black, and the story of the dying queen had just begun. The ship drifted in darkness, no light, no sound, only the faint hum of life support trying to stay alive. Lieutenant Harris opened his eyes slowly, his vision blurred by pain. He was lying on the floor of the medical bay, cold metal against his cheek. Every muscle in his body ached and his chest felt heavy, like something was burning inside. Then he saw her, the alien queen still lying on the stretcher, glowing softly in the red emergency light. Her eyes were closed, but her chest rose and fell in perfect rhythm with his own breath. Every time he inhaled, she did too. Every time his heart beat, hers followed. It was as if they shared one life, one pulse, one strange heartbeat echoing through two bodies. Captain Reese, Harris said weakly through the comm. Is anyone alive? Static answered. Then a shaky voice came back. We're here, but the ship's dead. Nothing works. And the sensors are blind, Kane's voice cut in. It's her, sir. It's that alien thing. She's doing this. Harris tried to sit up. She's not doing it on purpose, he said. Something else is happening. As he spoke, a low sound filled the air, like 1,000 whispers coming from the walls. The queen's body began to glow brighter, and strange symbols formed in the air around her. They looked like light and smoke at the same time. Ancient letters spinning slowly. Harris felt dizzy, like those shapes were pressing into his mind. A voice, soft, distant but powerful, echoed inside his head. Remember the oath of the first bond? He staggered back, clutching his temple. The queen's lips moved slightly, whispering words he could not understand. The language sounded like music made of sorrow and time. Then images flooded his mind. He saw planets burning, fleets colliding, and a queen kneeling before a blinding sun. He saw a human standing beside her. Not him, but someone from long ago, their hands joined. Their bodies surrounded by the same blue light now glowing in his veins. The vision ended with a scream. Harris fell to his knees, gasping for breath. When he looked up, the queen was awake, her silver eyes glowing like twin stars. You saw it, she said softly, her voice echoing in his head more than his ears. What was that? He asked, trembling. Was that real? She nodded slowly. It was memory. Old as the war between our kinds, older than stars. Older than peace. She tried to sit up, pain flashing across her face. Your touch awakened the bond, the same bond once made between a human and my first ancestor. But why me? Harris asked. Her gaze softened. Because you did not fear me. Because you touched me with mercy. She paused, her voice turning colder. And because your world once broke its promise to mine. Before he could speak, alarms flickered weakly to life. Captain Reese's voice came over the intercom. We've got movement outside. Unidentified ships closing in fast, Kane shouted. They're hailing us, sir. They're sending a message. Put it through, Reese ordered. A deep alien voice filled the room, calm but heavy with authority. Return the queen, human vessel. You have violated the sacred order. Reese frowned. We found her dying. We're trying to help. Your touch has defiled the bond. Return her or face extinction. The channel cut off, replaced by the sound of charging weapons. Harris looked at the queen. They mean it, don't they? She nodded slowly. They will destroy you all to protect me from you. He clenched his jaw. Then they'll have to get through me first. The queen looked at him with something that almost resembled sadness. You do not understand, she said softly. You are already part of me. If you die, I die. He blinked, realizing the truth in her words. Then we stay alive together, he said quietly. Suddenly, the ship shook as energy blasts hit the outer hull. The queen reached out her hand and light erupted from her fingers. Every console flickered back to life. Systems rebooting, power surging through the ship. Reese shouted from the bridge, Engines online, what the hell just happened? Harris stared in awe as she stood, her body glowing brighter now. I gave your ship my breath, she whispered. But I cannot do it again. The next blast tore through the rear compartment. Alarms screaming again, Harris ran to her. We have to move. They'll destroy us. She looked toward the viewport, her silver eyes burning with fury. They were my people once, she said. Now they are my hunters. The deck shook violently, throwing him to the ground. The Queen stumbled, catching herself on the table, and for the first time, Harris saw fear in her eyes. He grabbed her arm, steadying her. Hold on, we'll make it. Her gaze met his. You cannot imagine what you have started, she said, her voice trembling. When two bloodlines cross the forbidden bond, the stars themselves awaken outside. The attacking ship stopped firing, suddenly frozen in formation. A bright wave of blue energy spread across the black sky. Every weapon, every sensor, every engine from the alien fleet shut down. Reese shouted, "What's happening?" The Queen whispered, "They feel it too. The old call." Then she looked at Harris again and for the first time smiled faintly. "You are not my enemy, human," she said. "You are my echo." Her hand trembled as she touched his chest again. A soft pulse passed between them, and he felt something inside awaken, a second heartbeat that wasn't his. Her voice echoed in his mind, calm and haunting. "Our bond is not forbidden anymore. It is reborn." The lights went out again, the ship vanished from radar, and the war between their species shifted forever, though no one yet knew it. The ship floated through silent space, its hull scarred. Engines glowing faintly like dying embers, Lieutenant Harris stood by the viewport, watching distant stars slide past behind him. The alien Queen rested on the medbed, her silver eyes half open, her breathing shallow but steady. They had escaped the fleet, but not without cost. Captain Reese entered quietly, his voice low. "We're running blind, we have no fuel, no comms, and no one out there knows we're alive." Harris didn't turn around. "Maybe that's for the best," he said. Reese frowned. "You don't trust command anymore?" Harris's eyes stayed on the stars. "If they find her, they'll kill her, and if they find me, they'll dissect me." The Queen stirred, her voice soft. "He speaks truth." Reese flinched slightly. The sound seemed to echo from everywhere at once, not just her mouth. Her power made every word vibrate in the air. She looked at him with calm curiosity. "Your world fears what it does not understand." Reese crossed his arms. "And what should we understand about you, Your Majesty?" She blinked slowly. "That I am dying still. That every breath I take now I take because of him," she said. Glancing toward Harris, Harris sighed. "We're connected somehow. She's keeping me alive." "And I'm keeping her alive," Reese muttered. "That's not science, that's a curse." The Queen smiled faintly. "Perhaps both." Then she turned her eyes toward the window, her tone distant. "My kind was never meant to touch yours." The first time it happened, galaxies fell silent. Harris frowned. "Then why did it happen again?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Because the bond chooses. Not us." For a moment, silence filled the cabin. Only the hum of the engines and the faint pulse of the Queen's glowing veins could be heard. Harris sat beside her, his voice softer. "You said we were bound. What does that mean?" She looked at him, her expression unreadable. "It means your soul is no longer only your own. You carry echoes of me, and I carry the memory of you." He swallowed. "So if one of us dies—" She nodded slowly. "The other follows." Reese slammed his hand on the console. "Then we can't let that happen to either of you." Harris stood, determination in his eyes. "There has to be a way to fix this, to break the link without killing us both." The Queen shook her head gently. "You cannot break what was made in the heart of the stars." Her tone softened. "But maybe you can understand it." Suddenly, the ship shuddered violently, alarms blaring again. Kane's voice came from the bridge. "Captain, unknown signature behind us." "It's big," Reese rushed forward. "Visuals." On the screen, a shadow emerged from hyperspace, a massive alien cruiser, black and gold, shaped like a blade of light. The Queen's eyes widened. "That is the Tribunal of Queens. They have come to reclaim me. Can we outrun them?" Harris asked. Reese shook his head. "Not with what's left of this ship." The Queen stood weakly, her aura brightening. "Then I must speak to them." Harris reached out. "They'll kill you." Her voice was calm. "Maybe, but if I stay, they will kill you too." She walked to the center of the room, light gathering around her feet like mist. Symbols formed in the air again. Spinning faster and faster, Reese shouted, "She's doing something to the ship." Harris stepped closer. "No, wait, she's opening a channel." The light exploded outward, forming a glowing image of three alien figures, tall, regal, their faces hidden behind golden masks. The center one spoke, its voice deep and sharp. Queen Serath, your kind has fallen because of you. Release the human and end the blasphemy. Her tone stayed calm. He saved me when no one else would. He infected your bloodline, they replied. The bond must be purged. The Queen's light flared brighter. No, the bond must be understood. Harris felt pain slice through his chest, the connection pulsing like a heartbeat of fire. He fell to his knees, gasping. What are they doing? She turned, her voice soft but strained. They are trying to separate us by force, Reese shouted. We're losing hull pressure. The tribunal raised their hands, light spears forming in the air. The Queen closed her eyes, whispering, Forgive me. And then she released a burst of energy so powerful it shattered the hologram and sent the entire ship spinning into darkness. When Harris opened his eyes again, everything was quiet. The stars outside were unfamiliar, distant, and strange. Reese was unconscious on the floor, Kane's console sparking beside him. Harris turned to the medbed. The Queen was gone. He staggered forward, calling out, Serath. Her voice came from nowhere and everywhere, soft as the wind. Do not fear. I am still here. Her image shimmered in front of him, not solid, not real. You're fading, he whispered. No, she said gently. I am within you now. Harris felt his pulse double, his vision blurring with flashes of her memories, planets, wars and stars dying. He heard her whisper again. The bond has chosen, and now, you must choose too. He swallowed hard. Choose what? To be human, or to become something more. The Queen's voice faded as the last of the ship's power dimmed. Outside, a new star began to rise over the alien horizon, and deep inside his mind, Harris heard her final words. The choice will shape the fate of both our worlds. The silence that followed was heavy, full of destiny and dread, and somewhere, far beyond the stars, the tribunal whispered one final decree. If the bond lives, the old war begins again. The ship floated in silent orbit above a red dying star. Flames of plasma licked the darkness. Casting strange shadows through the cockpit, Lieutenant Harris sat alone, the glow from the burning sun reflecting in his tired eyes. The others were gone. Captain Reese and Kane had taken the escape pods when the engines failed. Only Harris remained, trapped with the voice inside his mind. You should rest, the voice whispered softly. It was her, Queen Serath, still inside him, her tone calm but filled with echoes of power. I can't rest, he answered quietly. We're stranded? And I don't even know where we are, she replied. We are between empires, in the silence between wars. He stared out the window, the star pulsing like a heart ready to die. How long can we survive here? He asked, her voice grew faint. That depends on your will and mine. He closed his eyes, feeling the strange warmth in his veins, the same blue light that once flowed through her. Each heartbeat carried part of her essence, and each breath reminded him that he was no longer fully human. Suddenly a sharp alarm broke the quiet. Sensors came alive with movement, a formation of ships entering orbit. Harris stood quickly, scanning the feed, his stomach tightening. It wasn't the tribunal. It wasn't the Queen's people either. It was human. A fleet of Earth Alliance destroyers appeared like silver arrows, their engines bright and cold. A familiar voice crackled through the comm. Lieutenant Harris, this is Admiral Terran of the Alliance. Stand down and prepare for capture. Harris froze. Admiral, you're alive? The voice was sharp. You are accused of treason and interspecies contamination. Surrender now, Serath's voice whispered in his mind again. They fear what you've become. He clenched his fists. They don't even know what this is. Her tone darkened. They will not ask, they will destroy. Outside, the human ships began to charge their main weapons. He tried to open a channel. Admiral, listen to me. The Queen's people are coming too. This is bigger than... The comm cut off, replaced by the mechanical sound of targeting locks. Dozens of red dots appeared across his console, all aimed at his crippled ship. Then another signal appeared, strange, organic, glowing green. The Queen's fleet had arrived too, massive ships shaped like living wings. Emerging from the void like predators, Harris whispered, No, not now. Serath's voice grew urgent. The bond has drawn them both. They come to kill what they do not understand. The human admiral's voice thundered through the comm again. Fire at will, and the stars exploded into war. Blue and gold fire lit the sky. Missiles tore through vacuum, and alien energy beams clashed against human steel. Harris's ship shook violently. Alarms screaming in every direction. He fell to the floor, clutching his chest as pain shot through him. Pain that wasn't his. He saw flashes of Serath in his mind, her real body somewhere among the alien fleet, fighting, bleeding. He could feel every strike, every wound. As if it were happening to him, he groaned. Serath, stop this. They'll destroy everything. Her voice came back, heavy with sorrow. I tried to speak, but they only listened to war. He slammed his hand on the console. Then we'll make them listen another way. The bond flared between them like lightning, blue light pouring from his eyes. His hands glowed as the ship's dead systems came back online one by one. Engines roared, shields rose, and the dying vessel moved again. Alive with new energy, Serath's voice trembled. You're using my power, he whispered. No. Our power. The ship soared between the fleets, weaving through explosions and debris. Harris broadcasted to all frequencies. Stop. Stop this madness. She's not your enemy. None of you understand what's happening. But no one listened. The sky burned brighter, and the star below began to collapse under the energy. Serath cried out inside his mind. The sun will die. We must leave now. I can't, he answered. They'll keep fighting unless we show them. She paused, then whispered. Then show them. My consort? Her words sent a wave of heat through his body. The ship stopped moving, hovering in the center of the crossfire. The bond unleashed itself in a storm of blue energy. Expanding like a heartbeat across the battlefield, every weapon froze in mid-fire. Every engine went silent for a brief moment. All ships, human and alien, hung still in the void. Inside every mind, a voice spoke, not human, not alien, but both. We are not your fear. We are your reflection. Harris's voice blended with Serath's, echoing through every vessel. If you destroy us, you destroy the bridge between your worlds. For the first time, silence replaced war. Captains on both sides stared at their screens. Unable to speak, the dying star below pulsed one final time, glowing brighter than ever, and then it collapsed. The shockwave tore across the fleets. Swallowing everything in light, Harris closed his eyes, holding the connection with Serath as the wave hit. Together, she whispered. Always, he replied. The explosion faded, leaving only drifting wreckage and one faint blue light moving through the dust. The ship was gone, but something new had formed in the void. A glowing sphere of light. Pulsing like a living heart from that light, a voice echoed across the silent battlefield. When empires burn, new worlds are born. The battlefield was gone, swallowed by the light of the dying star. Silence drifted across the void where once two empires had clashed. Among the drifting ashes of ships and memories, a single sphere of blue light floated gently, pulsing like a living heart. Inside it, Lieutenant Harris awoke, weightless, surrounded by shimmering currents of energy. He looked down but saw no floor, no ceiling, only light stretching forever. When he spoke, his voice echoed without sound. Where am I? He whispered. And then he felt her, not beside him but within every breath. You are between worlds, Queen Serath said softly. The space where life begins again. Her form appeared before him, woven from light and memory. Her eyes were brighter than stars, her body translucent like glass filled with energy. He reached out, hesitating. Are you real? She smiled gently. As real as the bond we share. For a moment he felt peace, the endless chaos of battle forgotten. But then the memories returned. The fleets, the war, the explosion. He looked around at the glowing storm. Did we survive? Her voice trembled like a fading melody. Not as we were. Harris frowned. Then what are we now? She stepped closer, touching his chest where the blue light glowed through his uniform. We are what the stars feared, she whispered. The bridge they tried to destroy. He felt her energy merging deeper into him. The warmth spread through his veins like gentle fire. For a heartbeat, he saw flashes of her memories. Her birth beneath twin suns, her coronation, her fall, her loneliness stretching across centuries, and then he saw his own life reflected in hers. Two stories overlapping until they became one. The forbidden bond, he said quietly. No, she answered, the eternal bond outside. The blue sphere pulsed brighter, sending ripples across the universe far away. Sensors from both human and alien outposts detected it. Commanders stared at their screens as signals they could not understand filled their systems. Some called it interference. Others called it a miracle. Inside the sphere, Serath took Harris's hands. I once ruled with fear, she said softly. But you ruled with compassion. You taught me mercy, Harris replied. You showed me there's more than war. She smiled faintly. Then let mercy be our legacy. The light around them began to tremble. Through the glow, faint shapes appeared. Human ships, alien vessels, wreckage caught in time. Sarath looked up, her voice distant. The universe is watching. Harris felt his heart beat faster. What are we supposed to do? We give them a choice, she said. The same one we were denied. She closed her eyes and raised her hands. Streams of energy burst outward, carrying images and voices into every surviving ship. Humans saw flashes of alien children laughing under golden skies. Aliens saw human families building homes on distant worlds. Both saw themselves reflected in each other's eyes. Sarath's voice echoed through every mind. You are never enemies, only echoes of the same creation. The bond between life cannot be forbidden. The fleets that remained drifted silently, their weapons cold. Some cried, some prayed, none fired again. The war ended without surrender, without command, only understanding. Harris looked at her, awe in his eyes. You ended it. She shook her head slowly. We ended it. Then her body began to fade. Light turning to mist, he reached for her hand. No! Don't leave me! She smiled softly, her form dissolving into starlight. I am not leaving, she whispered. I am becoming. The sphere expanded one last time, engulfing them both in pure light. When it faded, there was no Harris, no Queen. Only a single streak of blue energy drifting through the cosmos. It moved like a comet, silent and alive, carrying with it whispers of both their souls. Centuries later, explorers from Earth found a new system bathed in blue light. Two suns orbiting each other in perfect balance, their energy woven together like living threads. They called it the Sarath Gate, a bridge of light between galaxies. Every ship that passed through it heard a faint voice in their minds, half human, half alien. Remember the bond that made you whole? And so the legend spread that once, a dying queen and a broken soldier defied the universe and became something eternal. A story told among stars and whispered by travelers who looked into the blue glow and felt peace. Because some bonds are not forbidden, they are forever, they are eternal.